Welcome back to another episode of the Get Marketing Answers podcast. It's book review time, and this one is Business Made Simple by Mr. Donald Miller. Now, don't let the title of this one deceive you, because if you are an entrepreneur like me, maybe a busy executive, a business leader, the title may make this seem like it's a bit elementary and maybe not for the more advanced business person or the advanced business leader, but it is anything but that. In fact, I'm going to go as far as to put this maybe on the verge of my top 10 books of all time. If you haven't followed me for a while, I've read well over 250 books in the last 5 years, and I am seeking the best business book or leadership book out there. Okay, let's start with what I really liked about this book. Now, as the title says right here, it is 60 days to master leadership, sales, marketing, execution, management, personal productivity, and more. So, I think when we talk about marketing, we talk about leadership or running a business, we often think of leadership. We often think of culture. But so often we miss a lot of stuff. One of them is marketing, personal brand, it's customer acquisition, it's negotiation, it's a lot of things. But guess what? All of that is in this book. So the way I saw it, the way I read it, was that every chapter is a new day. And there are 60 chapters that all cover all these different things in all different sections. And I liked that it was very simple throughout. Although I would argue the one thing that I didn't like was that there were a few sections I was really hungry for more, but however, there are a lot of really good templates. So throughout the book, you're going to see some references to documents and things that you can download on their website. So I'm a big fan of that. If you are a big user throughout the book, he'll make reference to his strategy documents and some other templates that you can find on their website. There are some QR codes where you can download those. I think it's super nice if you're into that kind of thing. Okay, so a couple of takeaways, some things that I really enjoyed. He talked about two types of negotiations, one being collaborative and one being competitive. To prevent any spoilers, I'm not going to go into that, but I enjoyed that part because it challenged the way I think about negotiations, and I am all for having new perspectives. A couple of big takeaways for me, and there are many, but I try to distill it down to two, was he talks about negotiations and there being two types, one being collaborative and one being competitive. To prevent any kind of spoiler alert, I'm not going to go into that, but I always enjoy when someone can change my thinking or get me thinking differently. And he did exactly that. Donald Miller also talks about being a value-driven professional several times throughout the book. And I align with that because a lot of what I do, I think, should be purposeful. It should go back to my mission, my vision, my values, and just my core beliefs. So I'm going to read you a quote that kind of stuck with me that I bookmarked. And he says, a value-driven professional can get twice as much done in the same period of time as a professional who does not use time strategically. And of course, we all know time is our most valuable asset. It is irreplaceable. And so a lot of what he shares are things that'll help you with a lot of this stuff, which is productivity, maximizing your output, and also ultimately just being the best version of you. A couple things I didn't like, and typically I try to include 3 of them in these videos, but there really wasn't more than 2. And I would say that they're pretty high-level complaints, if anything. Number 1 was the book gets off to a really slow start, to the point to where in the first 20 pages, I considered dropping this, stopping reading it, because it felt almost too basic and too elementary. However, as I zoom out and I look back at this whole book, the one thing is that he lays the groundwork for why this is important. And because I think I got so much value in the next 10 pages, I was like, okay, yeah, this is pretty good. I kept reading. The other semi-complaint I already kind of alluded to was that there were a few chapters that were really good, really juicy, that could have been a little bit deeper. But again, I still think there's so much value here that if you like this, you can check out his other book, which is Marketing Made Simple. Being someone who's got 20 years of experience in the marketing world, that will be in my queue, no doubt. So, as I look back at this book, one of the things that I do that I would encourage you to do as well is there's a term I came about called marginalia. And that is where you make notes in the crux of the book. I happen to use Post-it notes, which I have a lot of. and I'll go back and I'll review things. I'll write them down, put them in a journal, whatever it is, and try to apply them to the things that I'm working on right now in my business and in my life. I would encourage you to do the same. As much as my reading comprehension is as good as anyone else's, sometimes these nuggets that you get are just so good that I want to make sure I don't forget these things. These are things that I think are so valuable that I need to instill in my life. So as I look back at let's see, I've read 12 books this year. This is by far the most post-it notes I've put in a book to date. And so that speaks to the value of Donald Miller. What I'm going to do is I'm going to rate this book to wrap up this video, and I am going to give this a 4.75, which is probably one of the higher ratings I've had in a long time. A couple of things that could have made this better was going a little bit deeper. Donald Miller does have more books, and I'm sure that there's some repeat content in here, but this needs to be in your queue if you are big on business books, whether it's marketing, leadership, efficiency. This checks a lot of books, and I would highly recommend you checking this out. Thanks for watching.